Mr. President, distinguished delegates, thank you for giving me the floor. First, allow me to express Rwanda's appreciation for the comprehensive work undertaken by the mechanism and for its steadfast dedication to the mandates inherited from the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. The tribunal and now the mechanism remain indispensable pillars in our collective effort to hold accountable those who planned and perpetrated the genocide and other serious violations of international humanitarian law. At the same time, we must speak candidly about the remaining gaps, the persistent challenges to the cooperation, and the imperative to safeguard the legacy we have built. This debate comes at a critical moment as the Security Council considers the future of the mechanism and how its residual functions will be managed. It is therefore timely to reflect on the achievements, ongoing challenges, and Rwanda's readiness to assume responsibilities once the mechanism completes its mandate. Excellencies, Rwanda deeply appreciates the trust that the International Residual Mechanism for Criminal Tribunals has placed in our country. Over the years, our cooperation with both the ICTR and the mechanism has been unwavering, dignified, and results-oriented. Rwanda remains fully prepared and willing to enforce the sentences of persons convicted by the ICTR and the mechanism as part of our enduring partnership in upholding international criminal justice. When Rwanda and the United Nations signed the Enforcement of Sentences Agreement in the year 2008, ICTR officials described it as, and I quote, milestone in cooperation, end of quote, acknowledging Rwanda's significant progress in correctional standards, and we are proud to have lived up to that promise. Today, Rwanda reaffirms its readiness to carry forward the mechanism's mandate by assuming responsibility for the 25 convicted persons in full compliance with the international standards and with the utmost respect for their rights and dignity. For Rwanda, the enforcement of sentences is not viewed as a burden, but as a continuation of our national journey towards justice, reconciliation, and the rule of law that began after 1994. Rwanda remains in strict compliance with the agreement on the enforcement of sentences signed with the United Nations on the 4th of March 2008. Article 11, Subarticle 1A of that agreement outlines the cost-related obligations of the tribunal, and Rwanda confirms that these are well understood and will be met. The agreement continues to provide the legal foundation for our cooperation and has been periodically reviewed with the UN Office of Legal Affairs and the Registrar of the mechanism. No obstacles to its full implementation exist. Mr. President, nearly 3 decades after the genocide, many indicted individuals remain at large. Over 1,400 indictments have been transmitted by Rwanda to various states requesting arrest and prosecution. Rwanda has repeatedly drawn attention to a pattern of insufficient cooperation by some states, whether through failure to arrest, to extradite, or to prosecute those indicted. In some cases, justice is delayed for years. In others, states have been reluctant to act despite formal requests. Rwanda wishes to address the situation of the 6 individuals acquitted or released and relocated to Niger, as referenced in the report. These individuals are free men, and Rwanda has repeatedly expressed its readiness to receive them. This situation should help set a precedent for how the international community manages both convicts still serving their sentences and those who have completed them. There should be no prolonged ambiguity regarding their status or place of residence when the country of origin has expressed readiness to receive its nationals. In this context, Rwanda underscores the importance of sustained cooperation between the mechanism, member states, and the national authorities. The progress achieved over the past 3 decades must not fade with the gradual completion of the mechanism's mandate. We therefore call upon the Office of the Prosecutor and relevant UN bodies to continue supporting capacity building and technical assistance to national jurisdictions so that the expertise developed through the ICTR and the mechanism continues to strengthen domestic and regional responses to genocide and crimes against humanity. Mr. President, Rwanda remains deeply concerned by the growing threat of genocide denial, distortion, and revisionism. Such efforts not only inflict a renewed pain on survivors and hinder reconciliation, but also seek to erase the record of truth painstakingly established by the international justice. The archives of the ICTR and the mechanism are integral to this record, living repositories of testimony, memory, and evidence whose preservation is vital to sustaining accountability and preventing impunity. Given their importance in countering distortion and revisionism, Rwanda has communicated to the Secretary General its readiness to assume custodianship of these archives. Building on its experience in preserving Gacaca and other genocide archives, Rwanda possesses the institutional capacity to ensure their security, accessibility, and educational value for future generations. Mr. President, in conclusion, Rwanda reaffirms its unwavering commitment to the core principles of international criminal justice, accountability, truth, memory, and non-recurrence. We call upon this Assembly and all member states to renew their cooperation and arrest the fugitives, to extradite or prosecute those indicted, to support the preservation and accessibility of the archives, and to ensure that the expertise of the ICTR and the mechanism is retained and amplified through national and regional jurisdictions. The nightmare of impunity must not outlast the institutions we built to confront it. As the mechanism approaches the completion of its mandate, Rwanda stands ready to assume the responsibilities that will ensure the continuity of its work and the protection of its legacy. Through hosting the individuals convicted by the ICTR and the mechanism, and by taking on the custodianship of the archives, Rwanda seeks to help carry forward the achievements of international criminal justice, ensuring that justice, dignity, and truth remain at the heart of our shared commitment to accountability and reconciliation. We respectfully call upon the Security Council and member states to lend their full support to Rwanda's readiness to assume the residual functions of the mechanism once its work concludes. Owing to Rwanda's proximity, both geographic and institutional, to the tribunal's work, our country is uniquely positioned to preserve this and sustain the achievements for future generations. And Madam Judge, I thank you very much for your report. Thank you for your attention.